Good morning, church. Pastor Dave here with a musing for the 21st of August. Last week we talked about the meeting that Peter had with the risen Christ on the beach. And we noted the fact that Jesus asked Peter to affirm his love 3 times, one affirmation for each time that Peter had denied knowing the Lord. My point was that this was a procedure that Peter seemed to need in order to feel forgiven. I want to investigate that further. We tend to think of ourselves, our human nature, as being a mind inside a body, sort of like the operator inside a machine. We often see our minds or our spirits as the real us, with the body viewed as little more than a structure to house it. But I think it's more complicated than that. God created us to be different, to be beings that are both spiritual and physical, a blending of the two, and in some ways different from either. Let me give you an analogy. Hydrogen and oxygen are 2 distinct elements, each with its own unique characteristics. Now, when you combine these 2 naturally occurring gases, you might expect to get a simple mixture of the 2. But you would be wrong. You don't get a gas at all. Under the proper conditions, you get water, a totally different substance altogether. It's still hydrogen and oxygen, but it's not the same as either. Something analogous to that happens when the 2 fundamental components of human nature, the spiritual and the physical, are combined. You end up with a creature with a new nature, a sort of blended nature. Still spiritual, still physical, but also containing something different from either. Now, to be fair, there are aspects of human life that are primarily spiritual, mental, intellectual, logic, reason. And there are aspects that are primarily physical, hunger, pain. But in addition to those, there are many parts of being us that are a combination of both. Most notably our emotions: love, loyalty, regret, frustration. For us humans, such things are not complete until both parts of our nature respond to them. C.S. Lewis once gave a couple of examples of this. One is the experience of prayer. He stated that though one can pray, standing in a railway car or seated at a dinner table, sometimes we need to kneel for prayer. Sometimes the body needs to pray too, he wrote. Lewis's second example is the emotion of love. Love isn't love just because you experience it internally, intellectually. It must be expressed outwardly in concrete ways. You have to say it and show it in order for love to be complete. Lewis pointed out that when a man meets the girl of his dreams, he tells everyone. He tells her. He tells his friends. He tells random strangers. And he demonstrates the love that he feels. He spends time with her. He listens to her. He buys her gifts. The actions complete the emotional experience. Love unexpressed is love incomplete. Well, this same pattern holds for other things. I think perhaps that this is what the Apostle James was talking about when he said, faith without works is dead. For us, the concrete physical expression of our faith, which we call works, is part of the completeness of that faith. In other words, faith is not just in our heads, some sort of mental understanding. It needs to be acted upon in order to be experienced fully. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. This is part of what I take from the interaction between Jesus and Peter on the beach. For Peter's experience of Christ's forgiveness to be complete, he needed a way to respond to his feelings of reconciliation and renewal, a way to act on what was in his heart. And Jesus gave him that. In fact, not only did the Lord set it up so that Peter could say that he loved Jesus 3 times, Peter was given a chance to further act on being forgiven. Remember, Jesus said, "Do you love me?" Peter said, "Yes, you know I do." And then Jesus said, "If you love me, feed my sheep." Jesus knew that Peter loved him, and Peter knew it too. But for that love to be complete, for it to be real for Peter, he needed to express it. He needed a chance to say it and a way to act on it. Christ simply gave Peter what he needed. He's really good at that. God bless you all.